Hey, Fun Rich Mamas, welcome to today's episode. I'm excited because it's one of my favorite ones. It's the Come As You Are series, which I love, mainly because I just get to kick it with another really cool woman who happens to be a mom. And this one I'm excited about because this is with a past neighbor of mine. In fact, she used to live behind me, and we didn't know each other super well, but we got to know each other enough I just know that this woman has got it going on. She takes care of business, really super sweet, had a great family. And then she moved. And then I moved. And what was cool is that we met back up because of the podcast. She emailed me and said, hey, what's up? I've been listening. And we just reconnected. And one thing led to another. And here we are today. So I am excited to introduce to you my friend, Dana Trant. You guys are going to have a fun time with this one. We've got some good questions because we're talking about perspective of once your child has left. Ooh, some of us are like, I can't wait. And some of us are like, no. So with that, let's get started. Dana, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great, Mitch. Thank you so much for having me. I have to say, I absolutely love what you are doing. I think it is just so exciting that you are exploring this and that you are being able to just dive into your creative outlet and have fun and just encourage other moms out there. So super fun to reconnect with you and see you doing this. It's been fun.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And, like I said in the intro, I did not expect to have connections because of the podcast with people from my past. It was really cool when all of a sudden you emailed me. I'm like, it's Dana. And so you know what? Thank you for reaching out. That really meant the world to me. So I know that sometimes we think about it and then we're like, it's not really that big of a deal. And it is. It's a big deal when people reach out. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm excited today because when we were talking, I didn't realize that your son is already grown up, out of the house, married. I mean, how did that happen? And right. So I was thinking, what a cool perspective to get this kind of bird's eye view of what motherhood looks like once the kid is out of the house. And so if you kind of give a little brief summary of your history to everyone who's listening here so they have a sense of who you are and where you're coming from.
Yeah, so grew up in a very little small town in Southeast Arkansas, went to college, played basketball, and met the most handsome football player there. And we got married after graduating. And within, I think on our second anniversary, we brought home a baby boy. So
on your anniversary?
On our second anniversary, we were bringing him home from the hospital. So we started it off fast and furious and just started building our life from there. I'm a woman who always dreamed of being a mom and a wife and, just like I said, just kind of hit the ground running and just to have really found my passion through the years of I love helping people win in life, whatever that is, however I can be an encouragement or, just to build other people up. And so, that's kind of been our story and where we got started and things just developed from there. So
nice. And we were talking on the phone the other day and you were mentioning some of the career steps that you have kind of progressed along the way. Can you kind of give us an outline of where you started and where you're at now?
Sure. So, after graduating college, I had a degree, got a master's in gerontology and did nursing home administration. I was an assistant nursing home administrator and social service director, and really just kind of found that I was dropping Brock off in the morning with a sitter and picking them up late in the afternoons and then just going through the routine of life. And I felt like someone else was raising my child, and so switched careers, got a master's in special education, started teaching school. And that was great because as Brock got older, we were at the same elementary school. We could ride to school together every morning. And, we were off on the same holidays and had summers together. And so it was kind of the best of both worlds in that season of our life because, I was contributing financially. I was getting time with Brock. I was really, able to support John and his career as things were, growing and developing for him. And so, but all the while, when Brock was 2, I started working as a first fitness consultant, network marketing, independent distributor. And so that's the one constant probably throughout my life is the last 20 years I have been, blessed to work with some amazing people in that field of health and wellness. And, then became a stay-at-home mom when Brock was in the 8th grade. And so realizing my dream there. So a mix of both, the working world, being a mom, being a wife, and then being able to have the blessing of being a stay-at-home mom.
Well, and I love that you weren't scared at any point in time to make a change. And, that's something I think we get so stuck in one career or one situation, and the idea of making a change, especially when you've already spent this money and you're in a career and you've got the master's, who am I to go back and say, I want more and this is going to take more time, but you did. And it ended up getting you something better, where that schedule with Brock, where you guys shared the same schedule, could go to school together, you had the holidays off. And then another step where you're like, you know what? Now there's something different. And you were willing to take that step. What was it for you, do you think, that gave you the courage to make those moves?
I think it was because I was pretty intentional with what I wanted. I had kind of that end game in mind of the dream of being a stay-at-home mom and wife, and really just, running the household and putting my time, attention, and effort into creating home for my family. And so whatever that kind of took for me to get there, it was like, okay, this is, in this season, I'm going to do this. And this season, I'm going to focus on this and do this. And so, don't ever be afraid to step out of that comfort zone. Be on the same page with your spouse, of course, and that's one thing. I had the full support of John along the way to make those changes. And sometimes it wasn't easy because, here you are, you have a 2-year-old and now you're going back to school and you're studying and you're working at the same time and you've got night class. And so, it was very, very important for us to be on the same page and kind of have, like you said, that long game in mind of this is what's going to get us to that point.
Yeah, for sure. So I love, how you're saying you obviously have your spouse on the same page. You got to have that support. But the fact that, you're already working, so it's not that you quit working and went to school. It's that you're working and you're going to school and you're raising this baby. It kind of reminds me of my mom. She was in a similar situation. But what would you say was the toughest part about that, and what got you through it? Like, what were some tricks, I guess, or hacks, whatever we want to call it these days? But what was it that kept you going? Like when you were just like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. When was the last time I slept? And how do you make it through that? Or what help did you enlist?
Yeah, so definitely, some great babysitters along the way, those young high school girls, neighbors that like just loved Brock and would be like, hey, I know you need to study. I'll come over and sit with him for a little while. Or, I think it was probably just knowing that I was going to get those summers with him, that I was going to get those holidays with him. And that, it was just it was just a blip of time, like nothing is permanent. It's just for a small season. And so, just pushing yourself through those little periods of time, knowing this is not permanent. It's not going to be like this forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now you're in Canada. How did that happen?
Yeah, so, when John started this year, we will have been married 25 years in December. And he
Woo!
has been with Enterprise for 25 years because as we were about to get married post college, the job he thought was going to work out didn't really pan out. And so he was like, I have to have a job. We're getting married. There's an ad in the paper for Enterprise. I'm going to go interview for that. And I'll just do that until I find something else. And so, at that time, I'm like, great, I'm going to be married to a guy that rents cars for a living, And so, not understanding how amazing, that company really is and how much it has blessed us through the years. But yeah, we just kind of, for him, committed that we would stick with it until retirement, and that we would be willing to go and to do, go wherever they sent us through the years, and just really encourage and support him in his dreams and his career. And so we started out in Louisiana. We ended up in Central Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, Texas. We've been in Atlanta, Georgia for the last 6 years.
Wow.
And 2 months ago, we moved to London, Ontario, Canada. So,
Wow. Okay, so I got to ask you, was there anything in Canada that surprised you? Like, oh, I didn't expect this. Or was it pretty much feel like being at home?
Like the U.S., it really is. I didn't expect them to be so crazy about my accent.
Oh. Yeah.
Everywhere I go, they're like, where are you from? You are not from here. Talk, say something, we could listen to you talk all day, and for the longest growing up, I was always kind of self-conscious about my accent because, I thought for the longest that when people heard me talk, and I was Southern, that meant I wasn't intelligent. And so it took a while for me, growing up, even into young adulthood, to be okay with the way I talk and my accent, and that I'm a very intelligent person, So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest surprise about Canada so far, is that they're obsessed with our accent.
Oh, that's funny. I wouldn't have thought of that either. But it's true. You do. You have an adorable accent. I love it.
Thank you.
I don't think of myself as having an accent. And then I used to travel around the world and people would do the same thing. Oh, you have such an accent. Like, what are you talking about? But it just depends on where you're at. It's different, right?
Right.
That's so cool. Okay, so totally off topic, but still with the Canada. What's the thing you miss the most about living in the States?
Right now, probably, family and friends, just that starting over phase of not really knowing anyone. But it's been great for me and John. It's kind of like we're on this extended vacation, and, Brock and Renata are all settled and, in their groove and doing their thing. So I don't have that worry, as an empty nester now. I mean, of course, you never stop parenting, regardless of what phase of life your child is in. You're always, a parent. But yeah, so I mean, just the excitement of being here and exploring together.
That's awesome. So now are Brock and his wife is Renata? Is that what you said?
Renata, yes.
Oh, beautiful. Are they in Canada as well, or are they still back in the States?
No, they're still in Georgia, just pursuing their life and starting their life, which is really exciting. I mean, it is such a beautiful time of life, as a parent, to see them start becoming their own and building their own, life and family. And yeah, he's in college full time, working full time. She is in flight school. Her dream is to be a pilot for Delta. So she is working. She just, did her solo flight, passed her written exam, and she is such a go-getter. She's such a blessing to me and to our family, and especially to Brock. And so, yeah, they're back in Georgia right now.
Okay, so speaking about, you're having a beautiful time of a motherhood moment, watching your child as he's becoming this adult. Let's kind of go back and look at the scope of all the years of being a parent and all the challenges. How would you Could you kind of summarize what each phase felt like for you, and maybe like what were the hardest challenges in those phases and what were the best parts of those phases?
Sure. Well, first, I mean, every phase had its challenges and its beauty too. You know, there's no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no such thing as a perfect child. There's no such thing as a perfect marriage or home, you know. But yeah, you know, like, I remember like when he started, you know, like when you take them to the daycare for the first time, or, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is so difficult. And then they start kindergarten and you're like, oh my goodness, are they going to have friends on the playground? And is he going to be scared? You know, is he going to be okay? You know, and then they go to middle school and then you're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, there's so much pressure and, you know, in middle school, and are they going to have a friend? Are they going to be asked to sit at the lunchroom table? You know,
yeah, right.
Are they going to start forming friendships with good kids? You know, and then they get to high school, and then you're like, oh my goodness, like now they're starting to date, or you know, you start worrying about what are they going to get into? Do they have positive peers? They're driving a car now, and then it's college, and you're like, you know, oh my gosh, like, are they going to be okay? Have we prepared them enough? And then there's marriage, and you're like, oh my goodness, I hope that he picks a great spouse, and you know that he's a good husband, and he's a good. So it's never stopped. I hate to, you know, maybe a bearer of bad news for some of you young people. Like every phase, there's those worries and those times that you just cover them in prayer for that season of their life. But, and then there's so much beauty in that, you know, watching them just go through the phases of life and start to figure it out and watch them turn into the person that they're becoming. You know, it's so rewarding. And you know, you've probably heard people say before, the days are long, but the years are short. And so, you know, looking back, I think that we were intentional parents. Like we really tried to appreciate the gift of being a parent. And so we wanted to just really develop a strong relationship with Brock at each phase of his life. And, you know, base that on love, really, like love and trust, and that we were one team. You know, we had this saying in our family, we're one team, one dream. And we even called ourselves T3. So it was like, you know, we're T3, baby. Like we're in this together. And so I think too, a lot of it maybe was like being young parents. Like we kind of grew up together. You know, we always felt like we were learning as Brock was learning and growing. And so that was kind of cool too, you know, that like just to kind of have that perspective of about life. But it really happened so quickly, and just to be intentional and really, you know, enjoy every phase, every stage.
I love it. I love T3. And it's, you know, it sounds like you had his buy-in too. So I could just see like T3, you know, and as he gets older, yeah, we're T3.
You know, sometimes like we have to change it up. So like, are we T4 or is it T2 and T2?
Oh,
like, you know,
right.
We gotta figure that out. But like we've passed that on, and like my brother and his family are O5, and John's brother and his family are T5. So every Christmas card, every gift tag says love, you know, T3 to T5.
I love that.
So,
oh my gosh.
It really was like a buy-in together. Like we're doing life together. Of course, you know, there has to be those tough things as a parent of enforcing discipline and boundaries and rules. But, yeah, I mean, we've always been one team, one dream.
I love that. So when do you think it is that you hit your flow as a mom, where you felt like, okay, I know there's challenges, I know I have more to learn, but I feel like I've got this now and it's not such a slap in the face every day?
Man, you know, that's a tough question, because I don't know if I ever thought I've got this thing figured out, you know, because you're like kind of looking ahead of, okay, like we're doing good now, but this next phase is coming up, and am I going to be prepared for that? But I think just probably one of the things that helped a lot was looking at other moms that were a little bit further ahead of me and having, their input, their support, having people that you knew, that you could go to and really have some hard conversations to figure the parenting thing out. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that's a tough one. Like, maybe I just have never thought that I arrived. Maybe now, because we can have those conversations with Brock, and he really, is grateful and voices that appreciation to us of just, investing in him, encouraging him, and just loving him. I guess maybe it's now that I feel like, hey, we did an okay job. We weren't perfect, but we kind of did good.
So when did that happen? When did Brock go? Because I imagine, teenagers, sometimes they're great and sometimes they have their moments.
Yes.
And let's be real. I mean, it's scientifically proven that, especially with boys, their testosterone is just insane.
Yes.
And so it can make things a little challenging. When did you start to notice that he went from maybe like teenage boy to adult man, that I can now respect you and appreciate where you're at, versus like, I respect you because you're my parents and I'll listen to you, but now it's like, and now I appreciate it.
Yeah. So going back just a little bit, you touched on something that brought back a memory. I remember someone telling me that like about age 14-ish, 13, maybe, that these aliens were going to come in and they were going to invade their brain and they would like fog them for several years. And then it's like, one day they just snap out of it, So we definitely kind of went through. Bob was a good kid. I mean, he really was. He made parenting easy probably for us, because he was, he never really gave us a lot of trouble or a lot of issues. But probably I would say, when he went off to college, I think he started realizing like that he was, very blessed to come from such a good home, parents that, loved him and invested in him and really had his back. That was really big for Brock, is that, him knowing we may not always agree and you may not always agree with us, but it's always our heart that we have your best interest in mind, and we're for you. We're not against you. That was kind of a common thing that we would say to him, is like, we love you, we want to support you, but if we don't agree with this, the answer is no. It's just, and I think when he went off to college, his first year of college, he kind of started getting it that like, my parents do love me. They do care about me. They do want me to do well in life. And then since he's gotten married, he's really started to figure out like, hey, this marriage thing is not always easy. It's beautiful, but like there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I have a lot of responsibilities on myself now. Like I've got to provide for another person. I've got to, make sure that she's okay and that she's happy. And, wow, my parents really, it was a lot of work that went into this. And they even say like no kids right now. Like we can't even imagine how much that changes the level of responsibility. So I think he gets it definitely now. And he's very quick to tell us how appreciative he is. So that makes you feel good,
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. So looking back again over the years, what would you say is your proudest accomplishment other than Brock? I mean, obviously, it's always our children, but you yourself in your momhood, what was the thing that you did that you feel most proud of as a mother?
I think probably setting the example to Brock, that I can do hard things. Like I can be a career woman. I can run a business. I can, be a good wife. I can be a good mom. I can create home and comfortability. And so just to, I guess not say that, by any means I was perfect, but just to kind of set a good, well-rounded example of what a loving Christian mom and wife looks like, that they were my priority and that I was still able to maintain, a level of personal development along the way and not give up on myself and not just find my identity in them, but that they definitely were my priority. But I guess maybe that, just setting the example of being a great helpmate, a great spouse, a great, a mom. I'm giving myself all this credit. Like
you should. You did all this. We don't give ourselves enough credit. That's why I want you to say it. I want other women to hear this too.
Yeah. That I can look back and not have a lot of regrets. And I think that that's so important, that whatever season that you're in is to live it with intentionality and by design. In a sense, we can't control every outside force or factor, but, know what your values are, know how you want to spend your time, effort, and energy, and just kind of create a life by design that you can look back on and be proud of.
I like that. And I think that kind of answered, I was going to ask the question, and I'll still ask it in case there's something else. As a woman who happens to be a mom, but as a woman, what is the thing that you are most proud of that you have done during this time frame? And I know it's, a lot of that was in there, but is there anything else that you feel like, oh, hey?
Probably just encouraging other women, even, as a woman, we tend to kind of, at each other. And so just having that maturity to like cheer other women on, like our journeys don't have to look the same. Our homes don't have to look the same, but that we can just really, be an encouragement to other women. And I think that's why I love your podcast so much. It's like, it's the raw bones reality of being a wife, being a mom, but that we can be women that really, truly want the best for other moms,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Got goosebumps on that answer. So let's put it all together. And you've already given some great advice, but you're talking to a new mom. She just had a baby. She's not getting any sleep at night. She's having to go back to work. She's stressed out. She doesn't know, the last time she's had a moment to spend with her husband alone. What is the best, maybe not piece of advice, but the wisdom that you would want to share with her so she can know she's doing okay and what she's got, what would be the wisdom to move forward with?
Probably the phrase, "This too shall pass,"
Yeah.
Like, again, nothing is permanent, like the way it is today, it's not going to be like that forever. And so really, truly just being intentional about what you want each phase of life to look like, and that, pouring into that child, like just, loving them and giving yourself permission to know that there's no such thing as perfection, and not being afraid to reach out to other moms, to ask for help, to seek that wisdom from other women that are further down the road from you. It's amazing how we think sometimes that like nobody else will understand what I'm going through, or they probably will think I'm crazy. As women, we like always put this tag on ourselves of, I must be crazy, like if I'm struggling or I don't have it just so. And so I've always found that when you find other women that are in similar seasons as you, they're probably going through the same thing, a lot of the same things. And if you can just walk alongside, someone else and again, cheer each other on that, it's going to be okay and that you're probably doing a lot better than what you think.
I love that. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. I love, I've got 50 other questions, and I also know that we're coming to time, but you knew it was coming. It's time for the shotgun styles. I have some fun questions. I got to get my notepad for that.
I'm not good on my feet. Okay, let's see.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay, so these are the questions. They're just random off the wall questions.
Okay.
And it's the first answer that comes to mind. You ready? All right. Number 1. If you could time travel, would you go past or present? Or past or future?
Future.
Future? Okay, cool. Well, we kind of already talked about this. Place or thing you miss the most about the U.S.?
Friends right now, friends.
Item that you cannot live without. Not a person, but a thing.
My Bible.
Ooh, okay. Biggest pet peeve?
Negativity.
Okay, and what old person things do you do?
Oh, let's see. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Wash my face every night before I go to bed.
All right. Last one. This should be fun. Who was your favorite childhood actor or famous person crush?
Kirk Cameron.
Oh, hey! There you go.
Yeah.
There was no hesitation on that one either.
Jordan from New Kids on the Block, Kirk Cameron, John Stamos,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Definitely I was a Kirk Cameron fan, yeah.
Kirk Cameron. All right, awesome. John Stamos was Full House. Kirk Cameron was, what was the show he was? I can't even remember.
Oh gosh, now I'm drawing a blank here. What was it?
That one show.
That show.
But obviously he was good on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. I know. I was a big fan, and I think I was only 5 at the time, but Michael J. Fox, ooh, I liked him.
It's cool that he was your little crush. That's cool.
He was my little crush, but then I found out that he was going to be a lot shorter than me because I was already 6 feet tall at 5 years old. So that kind of crushed my dreams.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap things up, but I got to leave you with a joke. I have to look at this one because I just saw this one. I thought it was so cute. Okay, you ready? What does a storm cloud wear under his raincoat?
I don't know.
Thunderwear.
Oh, good one.
There you go. Okay, yes.
Why did the chicken cross the road to the other playground?
Why?
To get to the other slide.
Oh, see? Yeah, that's a good one. I'll have to use that with my kids. They'll tell that everywhere.
Yeah.
Poor checkers, wherever we go, they're subject to us telling jokes all day long.
They probably don't know why did the chicken cross the road jokes. Those were 30 years ago jokes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they're still good today. Yeah. Dana, thank you so much for your time and for your openness and your sharing. And, if there was one thing I think that I would theme in your journey is intentionality. That seemed to be the key for you, is doing things with intention and then also with love. So that I think is just such a beautiful message for anyone who's listening to take is, instead of crash banging around throughout your life and whatever is going on and reacting to it, instead set the intention of who it is that you are, who it is you're wanting to be, who it is you're wanting to raise. And when you have that intention, even when things come up against you, you know who you are through that, and it's a lot easier to get through it. And that's what I got from you. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Mitch. You're doing a great job as a podcaster.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So with that, we will call it a wrap for today. Thank you, Mama, so much for joining us, for being a part of this conversation. I'm sure you could hear parts of your story. Maybe you laughed. Maybe you got a little gut check there as well. If anything, I hope you walk away feeling like you are equipped to do better and with a couple of laughs. So thank you for being with us. Of course, like, subscribe, share this with a friend. Who knows, you might be the one who ends up on here. Let me know what you're liking about it. And you can do that at hello@funrichmom.com. And in the meanwhile, make it fun, make it rich, and we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.